This is a hobbyking Turnigy 1/4 scale go-kart. I just finished building it and it looks pretty good when assembled. It came shipped almost ready to run. I mean, basically with no electronics at all, but it was fully built. So it looked exactly like this. It came in a nice unmarked box. I paid $33 for it about, and it was a little bit more, a total of $40 for shipping right to my door. So that's a fantastic deal. Looks like a very quality piece. You could see some of the main parts here is this big 3mm aluminum chassis, and in the back here is a nice carbon fiber plate. This is adjustable with 2 screws here. Pretty much you put tension on one or reduce tension on another, and it will control the way that the rear will bend. As you can see here, if I'm moving it with my hand, here it does move a little bit, and believe it or not, that little bit gives it plenty of adjustability. I screwed one about 1 to 2 turns and the cart handled completely different. So that does work. It's a very nice functional feature. I wound up getting a Traxxas Villignon 380 motor here from eBay. I picked it up for about $32 shipped. I think that's a very good deal. And the ESC I used is a 2 to 3S hobbyking X car system. It's a 45 amp rated continuous ESC. Works very well on 3S, but it does eventually shut down on 3S. But 2S it can run all day long. Now, the way you mount electronics in here is somewhat tricky, but it does look very nicely done after, I took a while to think it out. I mounted the receiver right here. It's a very small receiver, so looks good here. Servo. This is the hobbyking standard servo. It's actually very powerful. It has more torque than I expected, even though it's rated at a relatively low amount. It's under 50 ounce-inches torque. But for the price, $3.18, I mean, you can't go wrong. Has no problem steering the wheels on this go-kart. And probably would be a wonderful throttle servo for anything. Okay, so the capacitors had to mount right here. Some double-sided tape. The on-off switch right here was also double-sided tape, and it's all readily accessible and easy to operate. Actually, that's one of my favorite things. You don't have to reach too far for anything. So, one of the main problems I noticed with this cart are these side panels. You could see they're literally on the ground. The front is touching my table. Even though on the bottom of the chassis you can see a little bit clearance. I think this is 2 to 3mm clearance on the bottom. Now, after some thinking, I realized that there is a simple solution to this. And if you look on the bottom, this whole side panel is only attached with 4 screws. We have one here, over here, here, and in the back here. So all you have to do is literally put some bushings on top, some nice probably 1 to 2mm washers, and it should raise that and make it the same right height as the rest of the car. So that's what I will have to do, because I've pretty much only been restricted to running it on my floor, which is partially some type of thin rug here and flat vinyl tiles. It actually has a massive problem getting stuck in the beginning of the carpet there. That's my Savage, by the way. So, what else is there to say about this car? It looks very nice and realistic. You could paint this driver figure, and if you've noticed, it looks exactly like the Stig from Top Gear. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's pretty cool. What else? The wheels. Yeah, right here. They're not glued onto the tire. The tires are not glued onto the wheels. I did notice that these screws, there's 6 screws here in each, and they do come out, and the rubber can be separated. I actually love that feature. It's beadlock style, if not exactly beadlocks. And the same setup is on the rear of the wheel as well. They're very smooth, and you could see I can push them in fully. There's no foam inserts there. Don't know if that's bad yet, but I figure when they heat up, they'll have very good contact with the ground. It has a pretty good contact, pretty good traction on my floor here. Wonder how that's going to be like on asphalt. What else? One of my favorite things also about this is the solid rear axle. What that means is you'll never have to put in a diff again, or never have to rebuild a diff. It's connected with this drive belt right here. You could see it. There's a pulley, and it rides on full steel bearings right there. So for a really cheap cart, I mean, under $40, that's fantastic. I mean, you could get a set of bearings for close to that price. Obviously, brand name bearings. But what else? So, you know, when I was building this car, there was one major issue. I didn't understand what the problem was, but I realized eventually. So the gears they use in here, they're massive. These are, you know, giant gears. Usually in electric vehicles, even 1/10 scale, the spur gears have a tiny, you know, the distance between the pitch is different. Anyways, here I had a very hard time getting in this giant pinion gear to go in with the spur. It would just rub so much. Now I can move it freely and it runs. I pretty much had to mill out some of the motor mount system here so I could shift the motor over. There's no motor adjustment at all. So whatever, you know, the screws that were provided is what you have to use. But you know, a 1-minute Dremel session and it's good. So that's that for now. I'll try to post a small running video after I get the whole side mounting squared away. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and thank you for watching.